Hey YouTube, how's it going? So for today's video, I want to talk about finding your flow state as a game developer and like things you can do if you're developing a personal project, something you're working on. I think that has helped me, and it helps me just pump hours and hours, and time goes by. Excuse me. And I really don't even notice. Like I put in like 4 hours of work, and I'm just making tons of progress. And I really just want to talk about my mentality that helps me get there. So for this video, I'm gonna make a video about this project, but this is a little project I'm working on. It's gonna be an interactive game, kind of like Marbles on Stream, where people can queue up for a system, and basically you'll have automate these. That AI over there will be pretty much everyone, and they'll just automatically fight each other, and the winner wins. And I thought that'd be cool because it's like a nice take on the Marbles on Stream, but it gives a more I guess enjoyable viewer experience if you're into like combat. So as you can see, there's a lot going on here. There's particle effects, there's spawning systems, there's AI, there's animations, there's a lot that went into this. To be fair, UI, which is just a placeholder for now. And I think it looks pretty good. And I made this in 3 days, 2 days, more like 3 days. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I got there and like my whole process to it. So when you're starting out on a scene, there's a lot of it's just empty. You have a whole plethora to work with. And I think for game developers, that's the easiest part, right? You go file, new scene, and actually, maybe not. Maybe for some people, it's overwhelming because there's nothing here. There's so much I have to do. I have to add lights, I have to add post processing, I have to add the characters, I have to add environment, blah, blah, blah. And that could be overwhelming for you. And if it is, what I I think I can help go over that. So first, I I know this isn't probably the best, but it's what works for me, so take it with a grain of salt. I like to start making the game with making the game play. So what you're seeing when I hit play is it drops you into like the middle of the gameplay loop. Characters fighting, health going down, etc. But if you think about it from a game perspective, there's a lot that has to go in before this. You need a main menu, you need some type of UI to select your options, people need to queue up, you need to make that system, and then you get to the gameplay. But all I really care about is making the gameplay I want. That's where I start. And if that's not for you, that's perfectly okay. But I'd highly advise you start where you're comfortable, because or start doing what you want to do with the project. So for me, I want to do the gameplay, which was, as you saw, the animations, the moving around. I'm just going to disable the AI for now, so it's a little so I can walk around and talk because I like doing that. Oh, what happened here? Did I disable the main camera? Why is it like this? Camera? I don't know why it's showing the spectator camera. Um, yeah, so I like to start with the gameplay because that's what personally works for me. Where do you start with the gameplay? Well, obviously you need the very basics. You need some physics, you need locomotion, pressing the directions moves you in a direction. You need animations. And so for me, the general philosophy that I work with is I'll work on something I don't know how to do, and then work on once I hit a roadblock or a mental frustration, then I'll work on something I do like to do. So for instance, I know how to make animations and put them in the game. I know how to make physics. I don't know how to movement speed cap my character and rotate them properly. So I start with a mix. I start with, okay, make the basic empty scripts for a character controller, which I call in my case this fizz and move, which looks like there's a lot of stuff here, and there is, but it started out empty, and I just add as I go along. And I think it's important to not overthink, because you can always, when things are small, when you're starting out, you can always refactor and modify things in an easy way. So I'd say it might not be the best advice, but you can do some bad coding practices first if it helps you get there. So for instance, like me, you see this block of code, we spawn a rock, or we instantiate, we get the component, we spawn it, and then I add it to the nearby bendable rocks. I do this a couple times in a couple different places. Very similar set of instructions: spawn, instantiate, set active, get the rock component. There's definitely a lot of code reuse I could do here. Like, this file is 800 lines long. I could definitely compartmentalize some functionality of this. I could definitely optimize it, but you can always do that later, right? Like, sure, there's some things to be said about starting properly with your coding practices so you don't go too far, but that's on you to have that mental discipline. So if you find yourself, oh, I don't want to get started on this because I need to make a class for this, and then a manager class for this, and then a factory which designates classes, and then this inherits off this class, inherits off this class, the mental overhead is gigantic. But here's the thing, you can add all those things afterwards, as long as you know you're supposed to and you remember you're supposed to. So definitely write down a list of to-dos. I think there's a few to-dos in here. I think there are a few more. I eliminated some. So for instance, I have this physics class. This is the general physics for any character. So what if I have a character who does something different than this character, but it has a lot of things that I do want it to do? Well, I could just change this to an abstract class, or I could just extend this, go add abstract void instead of all of these functions, and then override them. And then boom, I didn't have to sit there and think what I want abstracted, what I don't want abstracted, what I want as maybe an interface, what I don't. It's just very clear cut. Just start making it, write it out, make sure it works. After it works, okay, now when I want to add more functionality, I can go back and refactor it. And yeah, that's adding tech debt for sure. But it helps me work and get stuff done. And I think it might help you. So, again, try to keep up this pace of work on something you know, and then maybe try something you don't know. And once you hit a roadblock, it's okay. Move back to that comfort zone of stuff you know and just grind it out. And I like to set personal goals that I know I can achieve in, say, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like, for instance, I have this spectator camera. It's a very basic thing. All it does is it rotates in a circle around the average distance between the main player, or the however many characters there are. It averages the distance between them and puts a point in the middle, and then it extends backwards on the Z and rotates around. So to show you what it looks like, let's enable the target dummy, let's press play, and then I'm going to go disable my main camera. Oh god, that is spinning absurdly fast. And this is all it does, is it just rotates around and it tries to keep both of them in frame. I've added some variables so that it's more customizable, so both are in frame most of the time. And this is likely what you'll see once this is a full, a working project, yeah. This is what you'll see. And I'll do a lot to optimize this, maybe freeze the camera when you can see when it looks like you're over the shoulder of one of them. Maybe swap so you get the point of view of the other one. And I knew I could make something like this in 5 minutes. I knew I can make it better in 10 minutes. And I knew I can get it almost to where I like it in 30. So this is nowhere near what I want for the final product of the spectator camera. But I made something functional, which is something that I'm going to need and improve on later. But it gave you that internal sense of reward of I got it done. Not done, but I made a spectator camera. That works. For all intents and purposes. It works. Is it amazing? No. Are there things I could do better? Sure. But I made it, and I knew I could do it in a short amount of time. So the same, another example is, say, a character attack. For me, I know I can do that in 5-10 minutes. I know I can load up Blender. I can animate out the frames that I want, make them crouch down, throw a punch, save it, import it back into Unity, and boom, it'll work. I know I can do that. And so when I run into things like, for instance, I wanted to add a ragdoll. Like when you get hit, I wanted to do a soft ragdoll and then a fade back to normal animation. I don't know how to do that. But I watched YouTube videos, and from people that know how to do it, it looks like it takes about 30 minutes. Maybe 20. But since I don't know it, and I have to follow a tutorial and pause, it's probably going to take me an hour. So the way I'd approach something like that is set up a new scene, or set up a test object, and get the very basics working. So my end goal is ragdoll, when you get hit, soft ragdoll, fade between the normal animation. But I don't even know how to make a regular ragdoll. So how do I approach that in this like flow state mentality? Well, if I wanted to, I would take my character, I'm pretty sure there's like a built-in like ragdoll. Ragdoll. And I would just mess around with it for 5 to 10 minutes. And if I hit a roadblock, I would stop and say, okay, what other things do I need to work on that I know I can do, that feel rewarding to do, and do them? This is a mentality that helps me chug along, but this will bite you in the ass once you get further along, because doing things as you get further along just takes hours. Like, polishing some things out takes hours. And so you need to, I think it's good to leave yourself small tasks that you know you can do at any time you're comfortable with. Leave them on the side so you have something comfortable to come back to, so you can progress with your project without feeling like, fuck, I don't know how to do any of the things that I know I need to do. Like, what's something else I don't know how to do? Maybe I don't know the best way to hook this UI. This is power, speed, intelligence, health, and dexterity. I don't know how to hook that up to my... Did I even make it yet? The attribute manager? I didn't even make it yet, unless it's in core. Attribute manager. Okay, it's empty. I don't know the best way to hook this up. Like, do I want these to just read constantly from the attribute manager, or do I want to set it and forget it? What happens if they change? Do I want it to change? Like, you can go down this giant rabbit hole of design, and you're going to kill yourself doing it. So, the way I would approach this is I would just hook it up to my attribute manager directly. I would say, like, I'd make public variables for these are images with a fill, I believe. Yeah, in images with a fill. And I would go to my attribute manager, make them public, and say, okay, set these. Boom, done. It works. It reads off the attribute manager. Boom. Now, you created another problem for yourself. What happens when I spawn a new enemy? How do I even make a UI element for them? Okay, that's another task you could do, but it's a step-by-step process. Instead of thinking through all that, how you're going to do that beforehand, you made something that works. It does what you wanted. Now you need to upgrade it to work for all scenarios. And I think that's a very rewarding mentality to keep developing, to keep working on your project without overloading yourself with these thought processes. Because if I wanted to, I could go extremely in depth on this phys class. Well, I'm going to have different types of characters. So maybe they should all inherit off a base phys class, but I don't want to do specific implementations of what I'm doing, which I currently have. I have specific, like, these rock implementations. I don't want to do those in the base phys class because everyone's going to inherit from it. So I need to make a phys, and then I need to make a earth modifier phys. Oh, but wait, what if my design makes it so they can have earth attacks and fire attacks? How am I going to handle that? Oh, shit. Maybe I make an attacks manager which can work for any attack, and then find a way to tie those all together. Okay, but what about the UI? How am I going to show when they switch and XYZ? I mean, you can kill yourself, paralyzing yourself with this analysis, when really what you need to do is just keep working. Just keep making. Keep creating something, and you'll get there. Because I don't know, like, I always, like, I talk to a lot of people about game development, and, like, they work on a side project and then it just dies. And for all different types of people, it dies at various stages. Maybe you hit a roadblock for some implementation you don't know how to do. Like, for me, this stuff's basic. For you, you might not know how to make an animation, import it, and have the character use it. That's going to take you time. It's going to take an hour. So what you should do first before you go, you learn how to animate. You make a big animation, you try to import it and it doesn't work. Just import the base model and make sure you can, like, say, grab a bone that has weight to it and move it, and make sure the character moves with it. So you know the skin mesh is working, you know the weighting works, and boom, you knock that one out. You gotta cut your big tasks as small up as you can into, maybe not tiny, but like 5 to 10 minute chunks, and that will keep you motivated, that will keep you working. Like, I'm gonna need a sound manager. What am I gonna do for a sound manager? I don't know much about sound managers. Okay, how about instead of make a sound manager, how about I make an audio source, make a listener, which is already built into the camera, by the way, and just try 3D audio. Okay, you could do that in 5 minutes very easily, as long as you know all you have to, literally, in Unity, it's very easy. You could just add a 3D object and then add to it, like, an audio source. And then drag your clip in there, and then you can mess with the 3D settings, create your own fall off, whatever. You might need to look at a tutorial beforehand that shows you how to do that, but that won't take more than 5 minutes if you know how to skip through bad tutorials. And boom, I don't have a sound manager, but I have sound in my game now. That's progress. That's something I didn't have before that I have now. That's going to keep me working because I'm making progress. And that's all it's about. You don't have to accomplish your end goal all the time. As long as you're making progress, you're doing good, and you're moving towards your eventual goal. As long as you're progressing every day, you will get to your goal eventually. Instead of setting, like, a big goal and not reaching it, or overanalyzing, knowing it's a monumental task beforehand, and then not even starting because you know it's so overwhelming. So, that's really all I wanted to talk about. I've been working on this for 3 days, and man, the days have just flown by. Like, it's just been, I put hours and hours and hours into this. Like, boom, it's already 8 o'clock right now. I started working at 4 today, and time just flew by. And it was great. I enjoyed it. I had a good time doing it. I wasn't too frustrated. I was frustrated sometimes, but I was feeling good at other times. And it keeps me working. It keeps me working, and I hope that this. And by the way, this isn't like my own style of working. This has been uh talked about many times online. But if you're a game developer and you have trouble like staying committed to your side projects, try splitting it up like this. If you want to research it more, look up the SAFE method. I forget what it stands for. Small, attainable, I know there's one for time. Maybe it's not safe. I forgot what it is. It has to be small, it has to be achievable, it has to be time constrained, and it has to be one other thing. I forgot. But definitely look it up. Look up like motivational working methods. And these will help you 100%. Keep working on your side projects. So, thank you for watching. If you watched to this point, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. I definitely want to grow the channel as much as I can. And if you're interested in seeing the results of this, I'm going to be making a video for this in the future that goes over my development process for it. And I'm going to start streaming it so you can sign up, or you can !play and watch your character with randomized stats, randomized move sets, different attributes, different perks, fight it out with someone else. And it'll be a good, passive, enjoyable experience, I think. But we'll see. So, I'm Viper. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.